the real science of fixing frontal hair loss. Are you noticing your hairline creeping back? Or the hair around your temples looking a little thinner than it used to? You're not just imagining it, and you are definitely not alone. But what if I told you that the key to stopping it isn't some magic potion, but understanding the powerful science happening right on your scalp? Hey Bestie, welcome back to the channel where we dive deeper than the marketing claims and get into the real chemistry of hair and skincare. Today, we are tackling one of the most requested topics, frontal hair loss. We're going to break down exactly why it happens, and then we'll look at the hard, clinical evidence for natural ingredients that can actually make a difference. We're not talking about myths, we're talking about peer-reviewed science. Let's get into it. So, to understand hair loss, you first have to understand hair growth. Every single hair on your head goes through a 3-phase cycle. First, you have the anagen or growth phase. This is where the action happens. Cells are dividing and your hair is actively growing. This can last for years. Next is the short catagen or transition phase, where growth stops. And finally, the telogen or resting phase. The hair just chills for a few months before it sheds, and the cycle starts all over again. All hair loss, Bestie, is simply a disruption of this cycle. Our goal is always to keep our hair in that beautiful, active anagen phase for as long as possible. So what's the biggest disruptor? For most people experiencing frontal thinning, the culprit has a clinical name, androgenetic alopecia. This is the scientific term for male and female pattern hair loss, and it's driven by our hormones. Specifically, it's driven by a powerful androgen hormone called dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. Now, let's get into the chemistry. Your body has the hormone testosterone. An enzyme that lives in your scalp's oil glands, called type 2,5-alpha reductase, finds that testosterone and converts it into the much more potent DHT. If you have a genetic predisposition, the hair follicles on the front of your scalp have more receptors for this DHT. When DHT binds to these receptors, it triggers a disaster for your hair cycle called follicular miniaturization. It signals the growth or anagen phase to get shorter and shorter. With every new cycle, the hair follicle literally shrinks. It produces finer, weaker, and shorter hairs, until eventually it just stops producing visible hair altogether. This is why the thinning is so gradual. Your hair isn't just falling out, it's being slowly replaced by weaker, miniaturized versions of itself. Okay, so the science sounds a little bleak, but don't worry, this is where it gets good. Because we understand the mechanism, we can look for ingredients that directly interfere with it. We're going to look at 2 main pathways: boosting circulation to the follicle and blocking that DHT production at the source. First up, let's talk about feeding the follicle through vasodilation, which just means widening the blood vessels to improve blood flow. The star player here is rosemary oil. A fantastic 2015 study directly compared rosemary oil to 2% minoxidil, that's the active ingredient in Rogaine, for treating androgenetic alopecia. After 6 months, the study found that rosemary oil produced an equivalent increase in hair count to minoxidil. Plus, the rosemary group reported less scalp itching. This happens because active compounds in rosemary, like camphor and 1,8-cineol, act as vasodilators, bringing more oxygen and nutrients to the follicle. It's also packed with antioxidants that fight off the oxidative stress that contributes to hair loss. Next is peppermint oil. Now, human trials are limited, but a powerful 2014 animal study showed that 3% peppermint oil outperformed 3% minoxidil. After 4 weeks, the peppermint oil group had a greater increase in follicle number, follicle depth, and dermal thickness. The primary mechanism here is its main component, menthol, which is a fantastic vasodilator. But the study also found that peppermint oil increases the expression of a protein called IGF-1, which is critical for keeping your hair in that anagen growth phase longer. Okay, so boosting circulation is great, but for a truly powerful approach, we need to go after DHT itself. This means inhibiting the 5-alpha reductase enzyme that creates it. First up is pumpkin seed oil, and the evidence for this one is fantastic. A 2014 double-blind placebo-controlled trial, which is the gold standard of clinical research, gave men 400 milligrams of pumpkin seed oil supplements daily for 24 weeks. The results were incredible. The pumpkin seed oil group saw a 40% average increase in hair count compared to just 10% in the placebo group. The mechanism? Pumpkin seed oil is rich in phytosterols, especially beta-sitosterol, which are believed to inhibit that 5-alpha reductase enzyme, directly lowering the amount of DHT your body produces. Another heavy hitter in this category is saw palmetto. It is one of the most studied natural DHT blockers. Multiple clinical trials have shown that both oral and topical saw palmetto improve hair quality and density. One head-to-head trial compared it to the prescription drug finasteride. While finasteride was stronger, saw palmetto still increased hair density in 38% of users and, crucially, stabilized the progression of hair loss in 52% of patients. It works just like pumpkin seed oil by blocking that pesky 5-alpha reductase enzyme. Hold on a second. Let me quickly remind you of our sponsor, Pure Actives Co., your one-stop shop for natural wellness, premium chemical ingredients, aromatherapy oils, and botanical extracts that empower individuals to take control of their health, beauty, and well-being. Shop today by visiting their website at pureactivesco.ca. Welcome back. So how do we put all this incredible science into practice? It requires a consistent, holistic approach. You can't just throw some oil on your head and hope for the best. Success comes from combining these treatments with foundational pillars of health. First, treat your scalp with respect. Wash your hair frequently, 5 to 6 times a week, with a gentle, sulfate-free shampoo to remove the buildup of sebum and pollutants. Always follow with a conditioner to reduce friction and breakage. And please, Bestie, be gentle. Detangle with a wide tooth comb after your hair is damp or towel dried, starting from the ends and working your way up. Finally, a daily 5 to 10 minute scalp massage is non-negotiable. It mechanically stimulates blood flow and has been shown in studies to increase hair thickness over time. You cannot build a house without bricks, and you can't build hair without the right nutrients. Your follicles are tiny factories that need raw materials. Make sure your diet is rich in protein, iron, zinc, biotin, and healthy fats. Think eggs, lean meats, fish, lentils, spinach, nuts, and avocados. Chronic stress raises your cortisol levels, and cortisol can absolutely wreck your hair cycle, pushing it into the shedding phase. Regular exercise, prioritizing 7 to 9 hours of sleep, meditation, or even just deep breathing exercises can make a profound physiological difference. Okay, let's put it all together. Daily. In the morning, take your oral supplement, like 400 milligrams of pumpkin seed oil. In the evening, do your 10-minute scalp massage, 3 to 4 nights a week. This is your treatment night. In a small bowl, mix 1 tablespoon of a carrier oil, like jojoba, with 3 to 5 drops of rosemary essential oil and 3 to 5 drops of peppermint essential oil. Never apply essential oils directly to the scalp without diluting them. Apply this blend directly to your scalp, focusing on your hairline and thinning areas. Now, perform your 10-minute scalp massage to really work it in. Let it sit for at least an hour or even overnight. Then, wash it out gently. Consistency is everything, Bestie. The science shows these treatments work, but the studies were done over 6 months. You have to be patient and stick with it. Finally, while this natural approach is powerful, it's important to know when to call in a dermatologist. If you experience sudden, rapid hair shedding, distinct bald patches, or any scalp pain, itching, or redness, please see a doctor to get an accurate diagnosis. The plan we discussed today is incredibly effective for androgenetic alopecia, but you need to be sure that's what you're dealing with. All right, Bestie, that was a deep dive. We learned that frontal hair loss is primarily caused by DHT, shrinking our follicles. But we also learned that we can fight back with science-backed botanicals that work in 2 ways: vasodilators like rosemary and peppermint oil to boost circulation, and 5-alpha reductase inhibitors like pumpkin seed oil and saw palmetto to block DHT production at the source. When you combine these targeted treatments with a holistic plan of great scalp care, nutrition, and stress management, you create the perfect environment to reclaim the health of your hair. If you found this helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe for more deep dives into the science of beauty. And let me know in the comments, have you tried any of these ingredients? What has your experience been? Thanks for nerding out with me, Bestie. I'll see you in the next video.